This week, I want to talk about what happens when tapping isn't working if you have food cravings. So when we do tapping, what we are very much focused on doing is we are finding the body sensations. What is the emotion you're feeling? Where is it in the body? And what's the intensity? That's sort of the very, very simple premise of doing tapping. So if you're doing some tapping work on your own and you're doing your own thing, and that's not kind of how you're focusing on it, you're not focusing in on your body and what's the emotion connecting the two and do the tapping, you may find that's why you're not hitting the mark. That may be why when you do your own stuff, you do your own work, while it's not getting the intensity down. I think what we tend to do when we're doing our own work is we'll look at something that's a little bit too high. So we teach sort of language like tabletop and table legs. So if you think of your food cravings and stuff and this intensity you have for this food, kind of like a bit of a tabletop. Also, if you are doing work on your own stuff and I don't know, you're anxious, you're worried, you're upset, you're bothered, you're concerned, all those sorts of things are all tabletops. We want to get into the legs. So even when we're sort of looking at sort of cravings work, we're getting a little bit into the legs. Particularly when I do private sessions with clients. So if you've got food stuff and you want to get over it, I do take some private clients for that. I only take a couple of weeks. I don't sort of have a big full list any longer. School is my priority, but I do take a couple. So if you've got some stuff going on, feel free to reach out and see if you want to do a couple of sessions with me and just get rid of whatever it is, your little chocolate or whatever. Anyway, when it's not working. So when you're doing some tapping work on the cravings for something as direct as this, you will find by even just looking at the thing, sniffing, smelling it, doing some tapping on it, go back to it. What's my intensity for having it? I can smell it, I can nibble, I can review the intensity. Yes, I can. When you reduce the intensity when you've got your thing here, it's a little bit different than when you're tapping on an emotion in the body. All right, so if it's not working on your food stuff, so if you're working on cravings on your own and it's not working, here's some tips on how I got it to shift with some of my clients. So one of my clients I worked with he was drinking too much brandy. He didn't say it was a craving. He just said, I want to reduce the amount of alcohol I drink. I think I drink too much and I'd really like to stop drinking so much. So when I did some work with him, we set it up and we had it booked for, pretty sure it was like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was. So we did a little bit of work on it and he sipped the brandy and he smelled the brandy and he tasted the brandy and he did all of that. But during the course of it, he sort of then got to a stage, he goes, you know what, this isn't working. And I said, so tell me more. Tell me what's wrong with this situation, with the environment at the moment. And what we figured out was, it wasn't at a time when he normally drank brandy. He didn't drink brandy at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. What he did was he drank brandy at 5:30 in the afternoon. So we abandoned the call there and then, and we cut it all off, and we went back and reconnected at 5:30, 5 o'clock that afternoon, or it might have been another day. But we reconnected at a time when he would normally drink the brandy. So it's very important when you're thinking about working on cravings, when do you crave it? When is the time that you crave it? If it's cravings for cigarettes, say as an example, I know people will, if they're in a workplace, they'll tend to sort of go outside to go and have their cigarette. Is part of the connection that all these other people are going to? Is it a social connection that is part of the smoking? Is it just not just the physical sensations and the release you get from the activity, but is there another side to it too? Is it the social side of it? So think about all of that. So with Mike, I had to go back to when he craved the brandy. So think about this when you're doing cravings work as well. Chocolate. Is it that you do it in the evenings? Is it that you do it in the evenings when the kids have gone to bed, the husband's gone to bed, partner, whatever, when you're left on your own? Is it then? Is that the right time to do tapping on the thing that you've got? Is it when you're in the car and you're driving somewhere? Got to grab something quick, got to have it before someone else turns up, before someone else, I have to share it with somebody else. All these are relevant thoughts and relevant components of helping you deal with your cravings. So are you eating quickly in the car before you pick the kids up? Are you jumping between meetings because you think that, yeah, you'll get really hungry. I used to do that. I used to be sort of in between meetings and things, particularly when I was going places. And it was like, oh, I don't know how long it's going to be until I can eat again. I tend to do morning fasting. So I had to regulate and go, right, what is it about not being able to do this at 10 o'clock in the morning? Am I then going to be hungry till 12 o'clock? Do I need to eat something proper before I go, despite my fasting? Do I need to eat things proper before I go? Because I've now got a 2-hour window that I can't eat what I would like to eat if I was eating healthily. Is that why I'm shoving particular foods down my neck? You know, I have been known to stop by, get petrol and grab a Bounty bar on the way through because I'm heading somewhere and I might not be able to eat for 2 or 3 hours. Had I had some insight and eaten before I left, that panic thought in the car probably wouldn't have come up because I was already had eaten. So sometimes it's a little bit of planning and prep. So what I'm trying to share with you is, while tapping will do the work and tapping will release and tapping will let you process and your body release the need for the things and the cravings for things, there's also other little components on that. So if you come to the masterclass on the 14th of March, we will do it with you, with your thing. And so bring your thing with you to that masterclass. But I just want to share some just different insights in the meantime of getting the most out of doing the tapping when you have a food craving coming up. What's the best way to circumvent that? Because even if you can break the pattern and not go straight for your thing straight away, even the act of circumventing that can make such a difference. It can make the difference between I've just gobbled all of that down and I've given into the cravings, and now I'm dealing with the guilt and the remorse and the regret and the recriminations, and I wasn't going to, and now I have, and all of those things. So if we can take it a little bit further back and circumvent before we get to the mindless eating, or the point that I think I know I would get to at times to a point of no return. I would be standing there with my thing, every intention of eating it. I'd gone beyond anything that was going to talk me out of it. Even tapping wasn't going to talk me out of it. I didn't want to do my tapping at that point. I had decided I was going to eat it, and I was going to eat all of it, and there was nothing stopping me. So there's some hints and tips on if you think tapping's not working. What is the environment you're in? Is it that you are craving it because there are certain people around? Are you wanting it because of a certain social connection? Are you wanting it because if you were to give it up and it wasn't for you, you'd disconnect from those people? Is it the time of the day? Okay, is it the time of the day that you're going through and you're thinking, well, I really need to have this? Is it like mine because I'm going into an environment where I won't be able to eat and I haven't eaten, and then there's this panic that, you know, I am going to overeat, or I'm going to get really hungry and really my blood sugar will drop and stuff? Is it the planning stuff? Should I have prepped better beforehand? So do some of that work in your journal while you're doing the tapping on your craving, and start to note some of the other stuff. What are the thoughts that are coming into your head in and around it? Is it timing? Is it environment? Is it the other people? And help yourself to figure out what it is that's going on for all of this with you. Now, again, if you wanted to come and do some private sessions with me, I love doing cravings work with people. It's absolutely fun as to where they all land. I had one client who had connected, you know, bars of dream chocolate with the support a friend had given her during a very traumatic event. I had another one who was into her crisps and chips and needed to crunch all of those. And it was because she didn't want to share. She came from a big family and then had a big family. There was always other factors in there. So do yourself a favor when you're doing your tapping, go and focus on some of those as well. Yes, absolutely do the tapping on your chocolate, your crisps, your chips, your lollies, your fried food, your alcohol, your smoking, whatever else you've got going on. Go and do those and have a look at what else is going on. And I bet you find things change and shift so much easier. Because let's face it, if you've got a thing that's really unhealthy for your body, even if you eat one less than you would normally, that's got to be doing our bodies some good.